this amazing. All the things you can learn in short space, but the time's still running, don't let it wait. Yeah, you can learn with me, cause when I'm reading, oh, it's so amazing, it's so amazing. I flip the page, I see you written down again and again. I'm humble and I'm hearkening, that if you will today, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, follow me, yeah, follow me, yeah, to the Sabbath, yeah. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, follow me, yeah, to the Sabbath day. Then we go and keep it holy and make it to the next day. Do you know what today is? It's our hidden history. Things you can learn in short space, but the time's still running, don't let it wait. Yeah, you can learn with me, cause when I'm reading, oh, it's so amazing, it's so amazing. I flip the page, I see you written down again and again. I'm humble and I'm hearkening, that if you will today, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, follow me, yeah, follow me, yeah, to the Sabbath, yeah. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Friday, yeah, to the Sabbath day. Then we go and keep it holy and make it to the next day. Do you know what today is? It's our hidden history. You can learn in short space, but the time's still running, don't let it wait. Yeah, you can learn with me, cause when I'm reading, oh, it's so amazing, it's so amazing. I flip the page, I see you written down again and again. I'm humble and I'm hearkening, that if you will today, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, looking for the right turn to make all the change you made. If you really want right, just hold on tight and I'll take you to the place to be. Do you know what today is? It's our hidden history. Our hidden history. Do you know what today is? Our hidden history. Tell me, do you know? Time running is a maze. All the things you can learn in short space, but the time's still running, don't let it waste. Yeah, you can learn with me, cause when I'm reading, oh, it's so amazing, so amazing. I flip the page, I see you written down again and again. I'm humble and I'm hearkening, that if you were today, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, follow me, yeah, follow me, yeah, to the Saturday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Friday, yeah, to the Saturday. Then we go and keep it holy and make it to the next day. Do you know what today is? It's our hidden history. Do you really wanna know? Well, I really wanna know, yeah. Cause there's a place so amazing with all the things I really wanna know, yeah. I've been driving all night, looking for the right turn to make all the change you made. If you really want right, just hold on tight and I'll take you to the place to be. Do you know what today is? It's our hidden history. Our hidden history. Do you know what today is? Our hidden history. Tell me, do you know? Time running is a maze. All the things you can learn in short space, but the time's still. Do you know what today is? Our hidden history. Tell me, do you know? Time running is a maze. All the things you can learn in short space, but the time's still running, don't let it waste. Yeah, you can learn with me, cause when I'm reading, oh, it's so amazing, so amazing. I flip the page, I see you written down again and again. I'm humble and I'm hearkening, that if you
Hey, shalom, shalom. Welcome back to Our Hidden History. You're now tuned into Our Hidden History radio show. All praises, man. Hey, what has been 2 weeks?
Something like it.
It's been 2 weeks, so we've been a little busy here and there. So all praise to the Most High to be able to stay busy in the work. Right. All right, stay busy in the work. All right. Hey, shout out to Bishop's class last night. All praise to the Most High. Class was fire. Bishop went over. He went over Psalms 23 before in the past. I still have those notes too. So I took got two of them. So all praises to the Most High for that thing. And yeah, man. So remember what we touched on the 2 weeks ago. We was dealing with. We went to pull that page up 250 from History of the Jews. All right, so this is where I think this is where we left off, page 250. All right, hey, read that real quick. So let's recap just a little bit. Let's recap just a little bit before we get into Claudius Caesar.
Jews are known to have lived in Cyrenaica, Tripoli, soon after the reign of Ptolemy I in the 3rd century BCE. Mm-hmm. Their numbers were augmented by fugitives from Antiochus Epiphanes of Syria.
So the word augmented means their numbers increased. They increased, okay? Meaning we populated more in that area. So remember, this is going into Egypt, us being in Egypt. Go ahead. Hey, if y'all got anything, you say, go ahead and speak.
Antiochus Epiphanes of Syria before he was defeated by the Maccabean armies. Uh-huh. One of these refugees was Jason of Cyrene, who wrote a book describing the Maccabean War.
Right, so we went to Maccabees to show you that Jason of Cyrene, he was the one that wrote the Maccabees. And what happened was they had to consolidate. It was 5 volumes. So the book of Maccabees was actually 5 volumes when Jason of Cyrene wrote it. Okay, so 5 volumes. And what happened was they consolidated it into 2 volumes. Hey, get that. I think we brought that out last week. Let me show you how hard that wasn't no easy task. It was not an easy task. Let's get that real quick. You know what I want?
Yes, sir. 2nd Maccabees, chapter 2 and verse 23.
Hey, man, we're going to be easy on you today, all right?
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, sir.
Hey, get those sound effects ready.
Hey.
Dang. 2nd Maccabees, chapter 2 and verse 23.
Hey, shout out my man behind the scenes, Soldier Dawad. He dropped this album.
What?
Yeah, look at it.
Yes, sir. Next to Wad.
Hey, don't mess up behind the scenes, man. You're going to fall for real. Don't mess up.
Fall from your position.
Nah, all praises, man. All praises. All right, go ahead.
2nd Maccabees, chapter 2 and verse 23.
Yep.
All these things I say being declared by Jason of Cyrene, in 5 books, we will essay to abridge in 1 volume.
So the word abridge means to consolidate into 1 volume. 5 books. They bridged it in. That is not, it seems like an impossible task, but it got done through the Spirit of the Most High, man. Right. Okay. So the Spirit was on them, brothers, to get this task done. Just like when you read in 2nd Esdras, when the Lord put the Spirit on Esdras, and I think it was how many other men? 5 other men? Yep. It was 5 other brothers that was with Esdras. The Most High put that Spirit on them to write the books, to rewrite the books over, the Bible over again. Okay, because why? At that time, they were burning our books. All right? So what the Bible itself is abbreviated. That's all. That's what he's telling you. He abridged it. He abbreviated the Bible. He abbreviated Maccabees. That's all he's saying. But from 5 volumes to abbreviate it into 1 volume is not an easy task. All right. I think he tells you that it was painstaking. Where
some more?
Go read that. Watch this.
Yeah. Verse 24. For considering the infinite number and the difficulty which they find that desire to look into the narration of the story, for the variety of the matter, we have been.
So hold on. He said, for considering the infinite number and the difficulty which they find that desire to look into the narration of the story. Because now you read it, you don't think that it was, you don't think this is something that they did. You're just reading it as, like, damn, this history is crazy. But now he going into like, look, you don't know what it took for it to get for what you reading right now. You don't know what it took for us to make it abbreviated the way we're reading it today. Read.
We have been careful that they which will read may have delight, and that they that are desirous to commit to memory might have ease, and that all into whose hands it comes might have profit.
Right. So they took careful. They were very, very careful. Very give me a word.
Particular. Who said
Particular. Somebody, yeah, but they're very particular of where they, the periods, where the periods go, the commas. Very, very particular and precise and accurate. Taking very diligence to make sure everything was right. Go ahead.
Therefore, to us that have taken upon us this painful
This
labor.
what?
This painful labor.
This labor was very, very painful. Read. He gonna tell you how painful.
Of abridging. It was not easy.
It was not easy. Go ahead.
But a matter of sweat and watching.
Yo, just imagine you sweating trying to like make sure every word is on point.
Right.
That word goes there. Okay. You make sure that period goes there. Cause I can't even imagine. I can't even fathom what they went through in order to make two volumes out of 5. I can't tell you. But he letting you know, look, man, we sweating our behinds off doing this. Okay? Every little matter, like you had to be very careful. Now, to bring it up to today, same thing happened with King James.
Right, yeah.
How he authorized the 1611 King James Bible to be translated from the Hebrew to the English. Same thing. They'll let you know they had multiple men, black men, over it. Diligent, careful of how they translated everything. All right. So when we was the scribes, they didn't play games, man. They took their job very, very seriously. All right.
Right. Hey, also that shows how when you skipping by chapters and you say, oh, those are just a list of names, we can skip by that stuff. You taking the labors of your father for vain.
Right.
They put in a lot of work so you can read every single word.
Every single word, man. They put in a lot of work. All right. And when you read the Maccabees today, you like, yo, this is a powerful history right here of our people. So all praises. So let's get back to the page.
A further increase in Jewish numbers came as a result of the defeat of the Jews by Rome in 70 CE.
Now, what happened with Jason, he ran from the persecution of Antiochus Epiphanes. All right? That's what happened with him. That's why he ran. A lot of our people ran for succor over in Cyrene, over in deeper into Africa. All right? Go ahead.
So large was the Jewish population of Cyrenaica in the next generation that in the ill-fated uprising of 115 to 117, the Jews almost overcame their pagan neighbors and the Roman armies. Rome's fearful vengeance caused many to flee farther west into the territory then known as Mauritania.
Keep Mauritania in mind. Write that down. Keep Mauritania in mind. It's going to play an important role. All right?
And now, as Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco.
And where?
And Morocco.
So all these areas are going to play an important role when we get to the subsequent travels of the apostles. Read.
Other Jews from the former population of Cyrenaica fled completely beyond the reach of Rome into the desert to the south. Such is the explanation how...
So we fled out of the reach of Rome into deeper down into Africa, okay, to the west coast of Africa, down into Central Africa, all right? So we were still fleeing further from them. Persecution from the Romans, persecution from the Arabs, persecution from, and even the Hamites. We ended up mingling amongst them, okay? The leadership been showing numerous of books on that, all right? We even showed a couple books here on OHH on us fleeing deeper into Africa, fleeing persecutions and so forth. Go ahead.
Such is the explanation how the Sahara Desert first acquired Jewish tribes, toughened by a fighting tradition and possessed of physical characteristics, which, it is said, still make them approximate very closely the original Jewish population of Palestine.
Meaning black.
Right.
Black. Okay? Black. All right. Hey, Hey, y'all have the Walking with the Giants folder? Y'all have that? Hey, look up a book called Wars of the Jews. Let me see what pages you have on that. Wars of the Jews. Real quick. Hey, somebody want to say something? Y'all go ahead. I got to try to look for this.
All right. Hey, go back to Second Maccabees. All praise.
Real quick, I didn't mean to put y'all on the spot. Hey, War of the Jews.
Yeah,
man.
you can read Second Maccabees while they find that. Second Maccabees 2. Read that verse 24 again.
Yes, sir. Verse 24.
Verse 1, actually. Verse 3. Damn.
Verse 23.
Uh-huh.
All these things I say being declared by Jason of Cyrene.
Uh-huh.
In 5 books, we will essay to abridge in 1 volume.
To bring it up to today, is that the book right there?
That's the book.
Okay.
That's the book, but I need him to go to. Keep going.
Okay.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
To bring it up to today, that's those editors that you see editing those long videos. You know, the leadership say, "Hey, we got 3 hours worth of video. We need you to bring this into 30 minutes." So that work that y'all doing is the same work that your forefathers was doing before.
Damn, that's heavy.
Yeah,
It's
it's
heavy. Same
honorable
thing.
work. It's an honorable work. You know, brothers staying up 7 a.m., 8 a.m., editing those videos, bro. You're doing an honorable thing because it's pain watching. Damn, I got to stay and edit out every single part that it might have been messed up. Add in the video clips, add in the pictures.
Right.
But you're doing it because those people that's going to watch it is going to have pleasure therein. That's love right there.
Hey, and the crazy part is the people that's watching it, they don't know what it took to make it the way how that video came out to be the way it is.
Right.
You know, so that's a heavy point.
Right.
All praises.
That's crazy. Keep reading it down.
Verse 24. For considering the infinite number and the difficulty which they find that desire to look into the narration of the story, for the variety of the matter, we have been careful that they that will read may have delight, and that they that are desirous to commit to memory might have ease.
So God says these things were done for those that have desire to put those things to memory. These things that we read about is not just for you can read it one day and then forget about it. The Lord wants you to remember those things. Why? Because they're going to give you comfort later. Now you can give your people hope when you tell them the stories of Maccabees. You can tell them what Jonathan did in battle when he prayed unto the Lord and all his men fled from him. And then he prayed and everybody ran back to help.
Right.
Because they saw he didn't fear. These things supposed to strengthen you. So the Lord wrote these things down for our people in these last days to have delight. Give me that really quick in Psalms 111, verse 4.
Psalms chapter 111 and verse 4. He hath made his wonderful works to be remembered.
God made his wonderful works to be remembered. Go ahead.
The Lord is gracious and full of compassion.
Read verse 6.
Verse 6. He hath shewed his people the power of his works, that he may give them the heritage of the heathen.
So this Bible, everything written in this book was given for us as an heritage, for us and our children to know. That's why it says in Baruch, it says, happy are ye, Israel, because that which is pleasing unto God is made known to us.
Right.
So when you deciding not to read every day, not to study every day, guess what? This was made for you. Everything in this book was made to be remembered for you. You found it?
Hey, go back.
Go ahead, officer.
Go back to 2 Maccabees chapter 2, verse 27. Just jump down to 27.
2 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 27.
Because he's going to make a comparison about throwing a party. Read.
Even as it is no ease unto him that prepareth a banquet.
Because everyone has either hosted a party or partook in some type of high holy days, such as tabernacles, Passover. You know, it's hard work preparing these things, read.
Even as it is no ease unto him that prepareth a banquet, and seeketh the benefit of others.
Because we do these things to make sure that everybody is happy, making sure they're in joyful heart, read.
Yet, for the pleasuring of many, we will undertake gladly.
What they say?
Gladly.
So they was happy to do the work of the Lord.
That's right.
Read.
We will undertake gladly this great pain.
Although it was great pain, sweat, and headaches at times, but they still did it for the people.
Right.
Wait, read on. Read on. Yeah, we missed out a lot on that.
Yeah, I think it's heavy.
And then we're going to get back. Read on, man.
Yet,
Because look, at a banquet, you know, like the different various feasts that's you know, like our Passover and so, you don't know what took place behind the scenes. Sometimes you just show up to the Passover, you like, damn, this is bad, you know what I'm saying? But you don't know the intricacies that went behind putting the Passover together.
Right.
You know? And a lot of brothers and sisters that put their brick into the Passover and so forth to set it up. Of course, they get their acknowledgement afterwards, but you don't know what it took to put that thing together, man.
Right.
That's on another level.
Right.
All right. A lot of the feast days that the tabernacles, Pentecost, a lot of these feast days that go, you don't know what it took behind the scenes for our people to come together, brothers and sisters, to put that thing together, man. And for the man and for the person that's over it, all right, to hold it down. Right. You know, so read on.
Yet, for the pleasuring of many, we will undertake gladly this great pains, leaving to the author the exact handling of every particular and laboring to follow the rules of an abridgment.
Hey, look up abridgment. We sidebarring a little bit, but
It's needed.
it's needed. Look up abridgment. There's rules to this thing.
Abridgment. Abridge. Shorten a piece of writing without losing the sense.
Damn. To shorten a piece of writing without losing the sense. Meaning you still got to keep the people on topic as you shorten it. So you got to take out a lot of things and shorten it to keep the people still interested and on topic with what it's talking about.
Same thing what Officer Abaddon was talking about in regards to the editors.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Right. That's why he said in Sirach, because this work, the Lord knows how hard and painful this work is being a scribe. He says in Sirach, he giveth honor to the scribe.
Right.
Because of the work that he does.
Because the work he does, man. It's not that you give. Sometimes you look at the teacher on the actual video or the reader. You be like, yo, he's bad. But yo, who made that promo? Who made that video?
Right.
You gotta understand what it took for him. Like our marches.
Yeah.
Like men's conference, the brothers that put those videos together, man.
Take a lot of work.
Lot of work. Another level too. Another level. So we give honor to those brothers that put those the editors and the video team, the multimedia team. We give honor to those brothers, man. Yeah. All right. So read on. I think it's more.
Verse 29. For as the master builder of a new house must care for the whole building, but he that undertaketh to set it out and paint it must seek out fit things for the adorning thereof. Even so, I think it is with us.
Right, because you look at the whole house. You like, damn, this house is nice. But the person that paint the house, you don't know what it took for him to pick out the right paint.
Right.
Say, oh, damn, should we use this? What about this color? Or should we put both colors together? What size how should we paint this? You don't know what kind of ladder should we use. You know, it's a lot of things that go into behind the scenes of putting something together to make it look the way it needs to look.
Right.
Okay, from the way that we may see it on the outside. From the outside, looking in. All right? Is there more?
I think that was everything.
Nah, man, my man, the brother that he went in, man. Keep reading.
Like, look, that whole thing.
Verse 30. To stand upon every point and go over things at large, and to be curious in particulars, belongeth to the first author of the story.
Read.
But to use brevity,
Brevity.
and avoid much laboring of the work.
Hey, look up brevity. Look up the word brevity.
Brevity. Concise. An exact use of words in writing or speech.
Yo, look, brothers had a thesaurus probably next to him to put certain words in. Let's use this word. This word might sound a little, a different force, okay, than that word or whatever. All right. So look, like you said, read on. You don't know what it took. Go ahead.
But to use brevity and avoid much laboring of the work is to be granted to him that will make an abridgment. Here then will we begin the story, only adding thus much to that which hath been said, that it is foolish thing to make a long prologue and to be short in the story itself.
Right. Okay, so all praises.
All praises.
All right, let's get back. Give me Claudius Caesar. Let's get into Claudius Caesar. Who was Claudius Caesar? Now, I don't want y'all to lose sight of these episodes of Rome, of the Echoes of Rome. So remember, what we doing is we are going over ancient Rome, how it was then, and paralleling it with today, the things that are happening today. Why? Because ancient America is an extension of ancient Rome. I'm going to say it again. America is an extension of ancient Rome. So a lot of things that we're going over that happened in ancient Rome, you will see a lot of the parallels that happen to our people today. That's going on today. All right? So let's read that.
Tiberius Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus. 1st August 10 BC, 13 October AD 54, was Roman emperor.
Go ahead.
Ruling from AD 41 to 54.
Hey, so with Claudius Caesar, you will see a lot of things was happening during the time of the apostles when Claudius Caesar became emperor. A lot was happening at that time. All right, far as the apostles concerned, with the traveling and so forth. So a lot of things was going on, and we're going to get into those things and how he treated us. All right, go ahead.
A member of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, Claudius was born to Drusus and Antonia Minor at Lugdunum in Roman Gaul, where his father was stationed as a military legate. He was the first Roman emperor to be born outside Italy. Nonetheless, Claudius was an Italian of Sabine origins.
Right. So Claudius, he was an Edomite, of course. Claudius was an Edomite. Go ahead.
As he had a limp and slight deafness due to sickness at a young age, he was ostracized by his family and was excluded from public office until his consulship, which was shared with his nephew Caligula in 37. Claudius's infirmity probably saved him from the fate of many other nobles during the purges throughout the reigns of Tiberius and Caligula, as potential enemies did not see him as a serious threat.
All right, so you could drop that. Give me Bible Atlas. We get the Bible Atlas, page 271. Bible Atlas, page 271. Y'all should have that. Yep, right there. Load up.
Going straight to Claudius, right?
Yep. Go straight to Claudius. So Claudius was the fifth feather. The fifth. All right. The fifth feather. Go ahead.
Claudius, Julio-Claudian, AD 41 to 54. Agrippa I, king of all Palestine, AD 41 to 44.
So these are the things that were happening. These are the events that was going on during Claudius' reign. Read again from the start from Agrippa again.
Agrippa I, king of all Palestine.
So Agrippa, that was Claudius' boy. That was Claudius' boy. He put him over all of Palestine, king of all Palestine. Read.
AD 41 to 44. Martyrdom of James.
So James the Apostle was martyred. Okay, when you read the book of Acts chapter 12. Go ahead.
Famine in Judea.
So we're going to get into that. The famine in Judea. We're going to get into that. Go ahead.
Paul's first missionary journey, AD 46 to 48. The Jerusalem Conference, AD 49. Claudius issued an edict expelling the Jews from Rome. See Acts 18 and 1. Paul's second missionary journey, AD 50 to 52. Zealot disturbances.
Right. So he also had zealot disturbances. This all was happening through the reign of Claudius. Now, from there, give me let's get Acts 11:28.
Acts chapter 11 and verse 28. And there stood up one of them named Agabus, and signified by the Spirit that there should be great...
Start at 26.
Verse 26. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And
hey, hold on. I'm sorry. Start at verse Start at 19.
Verse 19. Now they which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen traveled as far as Phoenice.
So remember, Stephen was killed. Stephen was killed also. All right. So when he was killed during that persecution, we scattered. Read.
Such as far as Phoenice and Cyprus.
So understand, far as Phoenice, go ahead.
And Cyprus.
Cyprus, read.
And Antioch.
And Antioch, read on.
Preaching the word to none but unto the Jews only.
So the word was only preached to the Jews only in those areas. Why? Because we were scattered in those areas. When you read the book of Acts chapter 2, we were in those areas. All right? So those areas that we were fleeing to during the persecution, our people was there. And we were still able to preach the word. Okay? Because the word never stops. It never stops. So we just kept it moving. Go ahead.
And some of them were men of Cyprus and Cyrene.
So we read about us being in Cyrene. All right? Cyrene, which was in Egypt. Okay? Go ahead.
Which?
I mean, not in Egypt. In Libya. Read.
Which, when they were come to Antioch, spake unto the Grecians, preaching the Lord Jesus.
So don't get hang up because now it says Grecians. Now you fall off the horse. Oh, look, but it's white people, it's Grecians. No. Jump back up to 19.
Preaching the word to none but unto the Jews only.
Unto who?
The Jews only.
Now read on.
Spake unto the Grecians, preaching the Lord Jesus.
Right. Read verse 20 from the top again.
Yes, sir. And some of them were men of Cyprus and Cyrene, which, when they were come to Antioch, spake unto the Grecians, preaching the Lord Jesus.
Right, unto the Jews only. They were Hellenistic Jews, following Greek customs. All right, you read about that in Maccabees. All right, how he was following Greek. Some of us willingly followed Greek customs. Right. And you had those of us that was forced to. Right. All right, we had to conform. They made us conform, or we would die. All right, read on.
And the hand of the Lord was with them, and a great number believed and turned unto the Lord. Then tidings of these things came unto the ears of the church, which was in Jerusalem.
Read.
And they sent forth Barnabas, that he should go as far as Antioch.
Read.
Who, when he came and had seen the grace of God, was glad, and exhorted them all, that with purpose of heart they would cleave unto the Lord.
Right, because there was spirits that believed over in Antioch. Go ahead.
For he was
a lot of spirits. Go ahead.
For he was a good man, and full of the Holy Ghost, and of faith. And much people was added unto the Lord.
Read.
Then departed Barnabas to Tarsus for to seek Saul. And when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples were called Christians first.
So the disciple was called Christians first in Antioch. Why? Because Christians just followers of Christ. So they were called Christians. All right. Go ahead. Read on.
And in these days came prophets from Jerusalem unto Antioch. And there stood up one of them named Agabus, and signified by the Spirit that there should be great dearth throughout all the world.
Right. So Antioch was like a popular city for us to go to. You know what I mean? A lot of our people was there. All right. A lot of our people was there. So we was going to Antioch. All right, go ahead.
Which came to pass in the days of Claudius Caesar.
So there was a prophet named Agabus. He stood up and signified that what? There will be a famine coming. All right, there will be a famine coming. The same way the bishop told us, listen, prep yourself, prepare, there's a famine coming. There will be a famine. Right. Same thing back then like today. All right, so this was in the days of Claudius. Now, give me that page real quick. the universal famine.
The universal famine under Claudius. The historian Luke states that during the reign of Claudius, a famine distressed the whole inhabited world. Although several local famines in this period are well attested, a general famine has not heretofore been confirmed by non-biblical evidence. However, the recent publication of valuable information regarding the economic conditions in Egypt during the reign of Claudius presents new evidence in support of the account of Luke. We shall therefore study in turn 1. The Egyptian famine, 2. The Judean famine, 3. The universal famine, and 4. The accessibility to Luke of definite evidence for the general famine.
Right, so there's different famines at that time that was happening. All right, so they're gonna deal with each famine and how it was, what happened. Go ahead.
The Egyptian famine. The abundance of the harvest in Egypt was directly dependent upon the height of the rise of the river Nile. When the Nile did not flood to a satisfactory level, the insufficient amount of moisture necessitated an early planting and resulted in a poor crop. On the other hand, an excessively high Nile flooded the fields far beyond the customary season for planting, and thus caused a late harvest far below the normal size. For a low Nile under Claudius, there is no evidence. There is, however, definite information that there was an unusually high Nile during the reign of Claudius. In fact, the highest Nile of which Pliny found record. On this occasion, the river rose to a height of 18 cubits. This was 2 cubits above the ideal height of 16, beyond which, as Ammianus Marcellinus records, no cultivator wished the river to rise. Since a famine occurred whenever the Nile rose to more than 16 cubits, there can be no doubt that this, the highest Nile in more than a century, certainly produced extensive distress in Egypt. A famine in Egypt during at least 1 year of the reign of Claudius is, therefore, definitely established. The Egyptian famine may be dated in the year 45 on the evidence of the recently published documents from the register of the Graphion at Teptinus.
Right, so the Egyptian famine happened, all of this happened at the same time. This is the actual famine, but they breaking it down to the Egyptian famine, the Judean famine, and the universal. All right, you go to next. Go ahead, read on.
In August, September, and November of this year, the price of grain, as recorded in the papyri from Teptinus, averaged about 8 drachmas an artaba. Thus, the cost of wheat at this time was more than twice as high as any other recorded price in the Roman period before the reign of Vespasian.
Sound familiar? They rate inflation.
Right.
So the price of food starts to go up. And we're gonna get more into that. Go ahead.
It is impossible to determine, however, whether the fall of 45 marked the beginning or the end of the famine, since Egypt at this time was dependent upon the harvest of the previous spring. A natural assumption is that the harvest of 45 was very poor. Yet, in the autumn of 45, the approximate size...
You can cut all that. Jump down to the Judean. Let's get to the point. Let's start reading.
The Judean famine. When Paul and Barnabas were in Antioch, Agrippa came from Jerusalem and prophesied that there would be a famine over the whole inhabited world. The Christians at Antioch, realizing that because of the expense of transporting grain by land, the distress in Jerusalem would be far greater than in the commercial center of Antioch, took up a collection and sent the money to the elders in Jerusalem by the hands of Barnabas and of Paul. This famine, according to Luke, came to pass during the reign of Claudius.
So that's what was happening. Okay, that's what Agabus was prophesying about. All right. So at that time, don't move it. Go back to the top. Why you move it? Yeah, let's stay right there. So at this time, the apostles came together, and we realized that, look, like he said, the Christians at Antioch, realizing that because of the expense of transporting grain by land, because the price of grain rose so high that we couldn't get it transported by land. All right, so it said the distress in Jerusalem will be far greater than in the commercial center of Antioch. Right, because Antioch was like it was a commercial center, so it was, people was well off pretty much there. Much more well off there than us in Jerusalem. All right, so that's what it's saying by it being a commercial center, and it wouldn't be too bad there. All right, so it said took up a collection and sent the money to the elders in Jerusalem by the hand of Barnabas and of Paul. Read that part again. This famine, you started this famine.
Yes, sir. This famine, according to Luke, came to pass during the reign of Claudius.
Read.
To the same famine, beyond all question, must be referred the incidents recorded by Josephus of the great Judean famine, which occurred during the rule of the procurator Tiberius Alexander. That is, either in 46 or 47.
Mm-hmm.
When the famine reached its height, Helena, the queen of Abdiabene, visited Jerusalem and saw that many people were dying because they had no money to buy food.
Right, because inflations. You see that happening right now with the inflations. Okay, so what happened? And they're going to explain it in this book. With the inflation going up, it makes it harder because your money's still the same. As the food prices go up, your money ain't changed. Your money ain't changed at all. It's still the same, man. You ain't getting a higher pay. You still gonna make what you making. But everything is rising right in front of your face to the point that you're not able to sustain yourself or your family. Go ahead.
Moved to compassion, she sent her agents to Cyprus to purchase dried figs.
So the Spirit moved her to purchase, to help us out. Go ahead.
And to Egypt to purchase grain. The cost of these provisions involved considerable expense, yet the food was transported to Jerusalem very quickly.
Right.
So
she was able to help us get grain to Jerusalem. That's what happened. She was able to support us to get grain to Jerusalem. Remember, grain was a staple crop that we needed, and it came only from Egypt. All right, so guess what? Just like any of the famines that we had in the past where we had to go to Egypt, everything pretty much came from Egypt. So that grain, everybody needed that at that time. So it rose so high to the point that no one could afford it. All right, go ahead.
And afforded great relief to the poor of the city. Further assistance was later obtained from Zaides, the son of Helena, and the ruler of Adiabene, who sent large sums of money to the principal men of Jerusalem for the support of the needy. Mm-hmm. When the famine was most severe, at the feast of Passover, shortly before the harvest, the price of grain rose so high that an asaron of wheat sold for 4 drachmas.
Now, I don't know. Hey, look up drachmas. The price of grain rose so high. Remember they said wings? There was a shortage on chickens or something. Yeah. It was like a shortage on chickens or something like that, so the price of wings went up. Mm-hmm. Drachma. It's like $1 or something, like a U.S. Yeah, read that.
What currency is the drachma? Euro. The drachma was Greece's national currency from 1833 to 1 January 2002, when euro banknotes and coins were put into circulation in Greece, at the same time as in the other euro area countries.
All right, you get off of that. You put in drachma to USD? Officer Media, you put that in? Just put drachma definition or drachma meaning right there.
Drachma, a former monetary unit of Greece,
mm-hmm.
notionally equal to 100 lepta, replaced in 2002 by the euro.
Man, just read that right there.
A silver coin of ancient Greece.
Yeah, they said all that. It's just a silver coin of ancient Greece. Because then they went into a harder word, lepta. What is that? So, listen, a drachma is just a silver coin of ancient Greece. It's a monetary, it's a coin. It's money. All right, go back.
a saran of wheat sold for 4 drachmas. At this time,
So 4 silver coins. Go ahead.
At this time, 70 cores of flour were brought into the court of the temple. The priests, however, remained loyal to the ceremonial laws for the celebration of the Feast of Unleavened Bread and refused to eat of the new supplies. This famine was not restricted to Judea proper, for as Orosius testifies, all Syria suffered from the shortage of grain.
So it was a shortage of grain. And I think there's an article that grain was the thing that was today is a shortage of grain. I think I've seen something. It's the same thing all over again. Hey, while we read this, see can y'all find that? What the famine today, the world famine today, shortage of grain. Type that in if you can. All right, let's get to the general famine.
The general famine. In the ancient world, as in the modern, famine was always essentially a class famine.
So famine was always essentially a class famine. Go ahead.
Since the poor and the improvident never had large reserves either of money or of food.
So hold on. Since the poor or the improvident. Look up the word improvident. Look up the word improvident. Real quick, the word improvident. Because the leadership been warning us, man. Yo, the famine is here. Famine is coming. Prep.
Improvident, not having or showing foresight, spendthrift, or thoughtless.
You don't give a damn. You just spending money. So, as leadership is warning us to prep, you like, man, forget that. You know what I mean? Pigeon shopping. You're still pigeon shopping. That's being improvident. You're not thinking about the future. You just shopping for today. That's being improvident. So go back, read that again.
In the ancient world, as in the modern, famine was always essentially a class famine, since the poor and the improvident never had large reserves either of money or of food.
Because they never saved up. They never prepped. Go ahead. And the poor couldn't anyway. Because remember, if the price of food is rising up, remember, your cost of living is still the same. You still getting paid. No, I'm sorry. The cost of living is higher, but you still getting paid the same.
Right.
So that puts you in a more of a poor bracket now. Go ahead.
Never had large reserves either of money or of food. They suffered immediately upon any considerable rise in the cost of living.
You see that? So you suffered more than the rich. The rich ain't going, it's not going to hit them hard like that. But if it hit them at all, but the person that's poor, that's still making $14, $15 an hour, as the price of eggs and milk and orange juice and everything rising up, you like, damn, I can't afford that right now.
Right.
You ever notice you went to I seen a TikTok, and they was showing how the price of food was compared to back then compared to today, and how much you could get for $100. So back then, I say at least 10 years ago, with $100, you brought back
shopping carts full.
Yeah, you brought back shopping carts full, man.
Right.
Now you go to the grocery store with $100. I go to sometimes I look, I said, damn.
8 items.
8 items.
That's a fact.
That's 2 gallons.
I'm serious.
That's a fact.
Yeah, 8 items.
4 packs of water. And probably a meat.
Orange
You got
juice.
orange
Juice with pulp is like $9 now. Crazy.
You hurt.
Yo, my wife will order from the Walmart. It'd be like, it looked like about 4 or 5 bags. For like whatever, 100, 150. I'm telling you, it's getting worse. It's getting worse and worse. Yeah. All right, it's getting worse and worse, man. Okay, but back then, $100 got you a lot. Right. It got you a lot of stuff. Not today. But read that again.
Since the
you got something?
No, that was just saying we found that article.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Since the poor and the improvident never had large reserves either of money or of food, they suffered immediately upon any considerable rise in the cost of living. The rich, on the other hand, had large reserves both of money and of hoarded grain, and rarely, if ever, experienced hunger during famine.
Right, because the rich is good. Go ahead.
Thus, while all classes of society suffered serious economic discomfort during a shortage of grain.
So understand, the rich just better off in a famine. Everybody suffered from it, but they just well off. Go ahead.
The actual hunger and starvation were restricted to the lower classes.
Right, us. That was restricted to us, the lower classes, the poor. All right, and the improvident, the person that didn't prepare and prep himself. Okay, go ahead. But hey, go back to the last page. Yeah, read the top paragraph again.
When Paul and Barnabas were in Antioch, Agabus came from Jerusalem and prophesied that there would be a famine over the whole inhabited world. The Christians at Antioch, realizing that because of the expense of transporting grain by land, the distress in Jerusalem would be far greater than in the commercial center of Antioch.
And what happened?
Took up a collection and sent the money to the elders in Jerusalem by the hands of Barnabas and of Paul.
Right. So guess what? That's called foresight.
Right.
That's foresight. When the leadership, they had the bishops and the deacons, they had foresight. When they say, yo, there's a famine coming, y'all better prepare, y'all better prep. That's having foresight. That's a vision right there, man. Okay, as a leader. So that's what was happening back then. So is today. It's happening again, all over again today. All right.
So you're saying back then we actually came together when times of trouble happened?
Yeah, get Acts chapter 4.
Bring it out.
Matter of fact, get I think Bishop read it last night with David. He said, I've never seen
Psalm
the righteous
37.
forsaken.
Yep.
And then get Acts, the book of Acts. The prophecy on that.
Although we didn't have much of our people in identities such as being Israel, but even the Grecians, when we still was coming together compared to now, Negroes not coming together.
Yeah, Negroes is selfish today.
Yep.
Remember, it said they improvident. Yeah. You still, back then, our people was improvident. They wasn't preparing. Right. That's why I think it's in Josephus. It said much of our people died. That was on the outside of the truth in Jerusalem. Much people in Jerusalem died from this famine right here during the days of Claudius.
That's why it's saying in Isaiah 65, he said, my servant shall eat.
Yep. Yeah. Read that.
Yes, sir. Psalms chapter 37 and verse 28. For the Lord loveth judgment. Oh,
no, verse 25.
Verse 25. I'm sorry. Psalms chapter 37 and verse 25.
Oh, boy.
I have been young and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread.
Right. So the Most High is saying King David is saying he never seen the righteous begging for bread.
Right.
He never seen that. That's never going to happen. Why? Because the Most High is going to take care of his elect. All right. All we got to do is keep the commandments. All right. Now, give me Acts chapter 4.
Officer J. I was going to say if I could jump up real quick. It's in the preach.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Verse 18. The Lord knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. Verse 19. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time, and in the days of famine they shall be satisfied.
That's bad. That's bad right there. Read that again.
Verse 18. The Lord knoweth the days of the upright.
So the Lord knoweth the days of the upright. Go ahead.
And their inheritance shall be forever.
And our inheritance should be forever. Go ahead.
They shall not be ashamed in the evil time.
So listen, if you keeping the commandments, there's no reason for you to be ashamed in the evil time. We are in the evil times right now. Right. Whether you believe it or not, we are in the evil times. It's only going to get worse. Read.
And in the days of famine.
And in the days of what?
In the days of famine.
So we're reading about the famine back in ancient Rome during the days of Claudius. Likewise, the famine today. Read.
They shall be satisfied.
We should be satisfied. We shall be satisfied. All right.
Hey, officer.
Go ahead.
When David said, I've been young and I am old, I've never seen the righteous forsaken, he's talking from experience because all those times where he had to flee, he never went hungry.
Right.
When he fled from Saul, he had eaten the shewbread from the temple. When he fled from Absalom, it said Barzillai came with a whole bunch of cheeses and food for him and his men.
Bro, he was good.
Never
King David was
forsaken.
always good. The Most High had him, held him down. All right. So go to Acts chapter 4.
Yes, sir. Acts chapter 4 and verse
34.
34. Neither was there any among them that lacked, For as many as were possessors of lands or houses sold them, and brought the prices of the things that were sold, and laid them down at the apostles' feet. And distribution was made unto every man according as he had need.
You see that? So we took care of each other.
Gathering ourselves.
We was gathering ourselves together for days, evil times like this. We held each other down, man. We took up a collection. Wasn't no damn tithes or anything like that. No, this was real alms, donations to take care of the people. Okay, so that's what was happening to make sure the body was good. All right, go back to the page.
An ancient world, the general famine. In the ancient world, as in the modern.
Oh, go down. Go down. Yeah, read that part. Famine.
Famine then did not consist in an absolute lack of food in the areas afflicted with scarcity. It centered.
So hold on. So now you're gonna break it down. He said famine don't consist in an absolute lack of food. Okay, because when you think of a famine, you think there's no food around. So he's saying famine don't consist of an actual lack of food in the areas afflicted with scarcity. Go ahead.
It's centered rather in the current price of grain.
The food, a famine starts off by the cost of living rising up. And at this time it was grain. And you got the article with that? All right, go ahead.
It's centered rather in the current price of grain.
So the current price of grain started to rise. Go ahead.
And was caused by all the factors which raised the price of food.
Like what? Read on.
Among these causes, primary importance must be given to local failures of the harvest, to the cost of importing grain from other regions, and especially to the speculation in grain and the hoarding which attended the delays in importing additional supplies of food.
Stop. Aren't we going through that? Remember the truckers? They couldn't get wasn't the food at the still at the imports?
Yeah, the ports.
It was holding the foods at the dock.
Yeah, they holding the food at the dock, and I think the truckers they didn't have enough. I want to say gas or something.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, gas money or whatever to get the food to and fro. Read that again. We can find many articles after break. We should have these articles lined up. Because there's an article for today, the failure in the harvest. Because I remember the farmers today, they were saying that they didn't have enough oil or gas or something to run the machines in order to harvest the crops. Go ahead.
Local failures of the harvest, to the cost of importing grain from other regions, and especially to the speculation in grain and the hoarding which attended the delays in importing additional supplies of food.
Hey, what that mean? And the hoarding which attended the delays. And the hoarding means when you go to the store and the shelves are empty because people is there buying up. A lot of time when these things go down, Esau there first. Mm-hmm. They done took everything off the shelves. They hoarding up everything.
And they start putting limits on how much you can
Yep.
buy.
And they put limits on
limits
on waters and water and stuff like that. Okay. So all of these things combined create a famine. Go ahead.
A universal famine, therefore, need not be explained by a general failure of the harvest. Mm-hmm. It is rather to be found in a general increase in the price of food.
So all of those factors plays a part in why the price of food starts to increase, inflations. So all of these things, all these factors plays a part into the increasing of the price. Go ahead.
And in the universal inability of the poor to purchase food at the current price.
You see that? So now it's hard to purchase a carton of eggs. Like you said, you see orange juice where for $9?
Like $9 at ShopRite.
God damn, where you be going to shop, bro?
Pray for me, man. I'm doing what's it called? Orange juice fast now, bro. I ain't buying it no more.
Oh, you scared me just now. I thought you meant the orange juice. You want an orange juice fast?
No.
I'm
looking at the right word. I was trying to say it. I was trying to say boycott. I'm boycotting orange juice.
I'm about to say, hold on, brother.
I don't want no real food. I don't want you.
Just
Trying
want
to prepare
orange
for the
juice.
famine.
Like, damn.
Nah, I'm boycotting it, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. $9, man. All right, read on.
Now, a failure of the harvest in one or two lands might easily affect the price of grain in the whole Mediterranean world. The failure of the afflicted countries to export grain, and perhaps even the necessity of transporting grain to supply their needs, would certainly have some effect upon all the markets of the Roman world.
Just like today. Go ahead.
This was particularly true if Egypt suffered from scarcity. For this country ordinarily exported enormous quantities of grain.
Right. So Egypt exported enormous quantities of grain. And we're going to show you an article on this today. They exported enormous quantities of grain. So guess what? If the crop of grain is affected in Egypt, where you going to get your grain from?
Bring it out, man.
Okay, so we're going to show you that. Y'all got that article with Ukraine. Remember, you know what I'm talking about?
Ukraine and Russia.
Ukraine and Russia. He was holding the grain. What's his name? What's the president of Russia?
Putin.
Vladimir.
Yeah. Watch this.
Black Sea Grain Initiative shipping route.
This is it, right? You posted this?
Yeah, read the title and then go down to the.
Oh,
to the-
okay.
yes.
Ukraine grain deal.
So look, hey, we showing you the parallels between ancient Rome and now, and in America. Go ahead.
What has happened to food prices since it ended?
All right, scroll down. Read from what was the grain deal?
What was the grain deal? Ukraine is one of the world's biggest suppliers of crops such as sunflower oil, barley, maize, and wheat.
All grain. Go ahead.
When Russia invaded in February 2022, its navy blockaded the country's Black Sea ports, trapping 20 million tons of grain, which were meant for export.
Didn't we just read about that in Egypt? Okay, so at this time, Egypt was the major export of grain. Now, today, America, everybody get their grain from Ukraine. So read that again.
When Russia invaded in February 2022, its navy blockaded the country's Black Sea ports, trapping 20 million tons of grain, which were meant for export.
Damn. Go ahead. 20 million tons. Go ahead.
This caused world food prices to soar.
Didn't we just read about that? This caused world food prices to soar. Everybody need grain.
Right.
Everybody. Go ahead.
And threatened to create shortages in Middle Eastern and African countries, which imported significant amounts of food from Ukraine.
Hey, this is 2022. You're reading about the world, the universal famine all over again. That's what you're reading right now. Right. Today, you're reading about it happening all over again today. That the leadership had foresight to show us and to prep us for. Go ahead.
I think that's it for that one, for the main one.
That's it.
And to that point, officer, Russia and Ukraine alone has 20% export value compared to the rest of the world in regards to cereal and sunflower.
Yeah. Yep. Damn.
So when it's
Hey, y'all think this is a game, man? This Bible's a true book. I think this is a game. All right. Hey, so we're going to take a quick break real quick. All right. And we'll be back shortly. We'll be back shortly.
Israel unido en Cristo, enseñando a nuestra gente quiénes somos a través de la Biblia. ¿Qué es lo que tenemos que hacer para salir de nuestras condiciones, para poder ser salvos? Porque estamos en las condiciones con las que estamos metidas hoy y eso es lo que estamos enseñando.
We have to go to the root. We have to go to the cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough. And it is because of our effort toward getting straight to the root that people oftentimes think we are dealing in hate. Brothers and sisters, for generations we've been a people living under the weight of oppression. From the days of Marcus Garvey's call for unity, to Martin Luther King's dream of freedom and equality, to Fred Hampton's unyielding fight for justice. We've been relentlessly pushed down, but we have never been broken. In these trying times, God has sent us a torchbearer to guide our path. Today, I introduce to you a beacon of hope, Bishop Nathaniel. With unwavering faith in Christ, he is here to lead the nation of Israel back to our rightful place by teaching us the sacred laws that have been our birthright and our salvation.
Christ was the truest of all revolutionaries, and each one of us have to pattern ourselves in his image.
Under his guidance, we will walk a path illuminated by the word of God, not the false promises of man. In his hands, the legacy of our past fuels a righteous and spiritual future, a future where we stand tall as children of God, as true Israelites, as free and dignified people at last.
What is a revolutionary? Well, there's two words found in the word revolutionary. Revolve, as in change. We're changing the minds of our people. We're revolting against all the lies this system has taught against us. The Bible prophesies about 144,000 true revolutionaries. And finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord. His word, his word, his word, his word.
And this is what we do from island to island, state to state, country to country. This is our mission of forever.
Fly through the eras I had to fulfill my purpose, to shake the whole earth with a boom when I hit the surface. They trembling nervous, they know I'm coming for certain, to murder all these niggas, devour all of these serpents. I patiently waited to turn up with fervent heat. Now that I'm activated, I'ma blow cause it's World War III. I hear you weeping, you're mourning, your nationality, Hiroshima and Nagasaki ain't got nothing on me. I was raised by chemists, I was made for the judgment. Don't be testing my limits, don't be pushing my buttons. In the Bible they call me flame and rebuke, and you know that that's the truth, but my homies call me nuke. I was sent here to destroy pleasures of sin in the day of darkness, even darker than when the day began. Annihilation, no time for a battle.
I mean, what I just witnessed, it was pretty powerful. Black men, like that discipline.
When you form like I just seen, it sends a strong message.
Because I know it's hard for us to even visualize this. We have never seen a movie, a comic where we've done great things. We gotta visualize it. We gotta show it. Because it's written in the Bible.
Isaiah 40:31.
Watch this.
But they that wait upon the Lord.
And here is the patience and faith of the saints. They that wait upon the Lord
shall renew their strength.
Shall renew their strength.
They shall mount up with wings as eagles.
And shall mount to, what you think that means? Have you ever seen a man fly?
Just affect the people. Bugs, insects, gay insects. I said, listen, come here, come back. Hey.
Oh, man. Hey, shalom, officer. Most High Christ bless.
Hey, shalom, brethren. Most High Christ bless. What I going?
Man, just watching some old Tabernacle promos, man, get my spirit right. You gonna be in the OKC this year for Tabernacles, right?
Yeah, man, that's what I was calling you for. And since Oklahoma is hosting Tabernacles and it's the 20th year, we gotta do it big this year, son.
Okay. What you thinking? What you got up?
Yo, I'm thinking we should do a versus.
A versus? Like me versus you? We versing?
Yeah, man, between me and you. But it's gotta be your hottest tracks against my hottest tracks.
That's a little different. That's a little different. That's a little, Alright, hey, you know what? Let's do it. I think the people like that. Let's do it.
Yeah, man, don't worry. Just Matthew 18 me when I win, alright? Don't worry about it.
Me, Matthew 18, you? You mean after I win? I hope you don't Matthew 18 me.
Yo, we'll see, man. Alright, yo. Most High Christ bless.
Alright, we'll see. Alright, shalom. Most High Christ bless. Man, it's on.
Okay, IUIC of Baton Rouge is here today on Candid Convos with Luke. And I got a lot of backlash because they were like, look, we don't want to put them on the radio, so let me just say this, we're on the radio today. We're on KKAY 1590 AM. It says, our mission, our goal is to train men and women to fulfill their God-given roles city by city to prepare us for the second coming. What's wrong with that? Guys, I'm saying, help me. What is wrong with that?
Verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her.
It said you're going to betroth a wife. You're going to get a wife, and another man is going to lie with her. What happened when slave masters wanted your woman?
They took the woman.
They took the woman.
Yeah.
Did that happen to everybody?
Not to everybody.
No.
I got questions, but I think that I opened the door. And what I wanted to do was set out by opening the door is to spark the conversation for more conversation. Guys, we have to get them back because I know that we have other people that probably want to sit here and talk to this group. I think many people. And we can't just do it in one setting. We have to do it again.
We'll work with anybody and form coalition with anybody that has revolution on their mind. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary.
But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. We want freedom by any means necessary. We want justice by any means necessary.
This is a revolution of God. This time that we're living in, the greatest time on earth, revolution. Spiritual and biblical revolution. All these lies will be shut down in earth. He's on the
that I'm all in. You can tell by my faith that I'm all in. Front line with the truth, I'ma fall in. Even if it's a dead end, going all in. You can tell by the things I'm involved in. I can lose it all for my calling. If I die for the truth, it's a win-win. And going to the end, going all in. Going all in. Going in, going all in. Going all in. I'm going in, going all in. You can tell by the things I'm involved in. I can lose it all for my calling. If I die for the truth, it's a win-win. And going to the end, going all in. Going all in.
Only my brother, be strong in the Lord. His word, his word, his word, his word.
Israel in Christ, I call that the walking Bible.
The problem, people think they have a thought process. God don't care what you think. He says, do my will.
Don't say things you think is in the Bible. Unity, that's what the term Israel united in Christ, because Christ is our king, and he's our black Messiah.
We went to the TV show and the callers asked me how can they join this truth.
Israel United in Christ is in for the truth, and it needs to be out there. Everyone has to hear about this.
Today was the grand opening that our people may come, know who they are,
according to the Bible.
God calls us the Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israelites.
Now we are lost sheep. We have to go back. We should encourage ourselves that we are Israelites.
Hey, we back from the break. All praise. A little longer than I expected, but we're back. So let's get back into we've read about the famine that was happening during the reign of Claudius. All right, that the prophet Agabus warned, prophesied about. All right, so let's read this again. Start from the last page into this page, and then we got the articles on today to correlate what's happening today. Read that.
Famine then did not consist in an absolute lack of food in the areas afflicted with scarcity. It centered rather in the current price of grain and was caused by all the factors which raised the price of food.
Right.
Among these causes, primary importance must be given to,
come on,
local failures of the harvest.
So local failures of the harvest. Now, y'all have the other article I wanted about the diesel, the machinery. Because what would cause local failure of the harvest? What are some things if you're not able to harvest without the machinery? Watch this. Read that. This is today. This is today. Remember, we are paralleling what was happening then to today. What's happening right now. Read.
Rising fuel prices are putting pressure on local farmers and ranchers.
You see that? So this is today. Rising fuel prices are putting pressure on local farmers and ranchers. Why? Let's go down. Read.
Rising diesel costs has impacted local farmers and ranchers who need diesel to run their equipment, especially with their spring planting season right around the corner.
Right. That goes into your local failure of the harvest. If you cannot run your equipment, if you don't have the fuel to run your equipment, you can't harvest the crops. Then it fails. Because it's just there now. It's just you can't run the machine in order to I'm not a farmer, but you can't run your machines in order to harvest the crop now. So it's just sitting there. And all it's going to do is just die. Because why? Because you got the fall coming in, you got the seasons are changing. All right, go ahead. So they're trying to hurry up and harvest it in order to be able to get it out and sell it. Read.
We'll start planting corn, and then we'll start with grain sorghum, and then cotton right after that. Scott Frazier, the owner of Thunder Cattle Company, said, planting the spring crop takes time, energy, and a lot of equipment.
Read.
Most of our tractors in this area probably run 12 to 15 gallons an hour. The bigger ones are 20 to 30 gallons an hour, Frazier said.
Go ahead.
Frazier said he'll use his equipment for almost an entire day, which equates to about 2,500 gallons of fuel needed to have a good harvest and in turn make money.
So these are local failure of the harvest is one of the things that have created the atmosphere of a famine. So this is today. They can't even get the fuel prices rose up. The price of fuel went through the roof. So now you need fuel, your equipment in order to harvest the crop. They can't even get the diesel in order to do that. So guess what? They can't harvest the crop and put it out for sale and be able to export it. That creates a famine. All right. Now go back. Go back to the page. Go ahead.
To the cost of importing grain from other regions, and especially to the speculation in grain and the hoarding which attended the delays in importing additional supplies of food.
So it's all a domino effect, man. It's all a domino effect. Go ahead.
A universal famine, therefore, need not be explained by a general failure of the harvest. It is rather to be found in a general increase in the price of food and in the universal inability of the poor to purchase food at the current price.
Right. So that's what he's saying is creating the famine. The fact that the food prices goes up and you can't pay for that. Go ahead.
Now, a failure of the harvest in one or two lands might easily affect the price of grain in the whole Mediterranean world. The failure of the afflicted countries to export grain and perhaps even the necessity of transporting grain to supply their needs would certainly have some effect upon all the markets of the Roman world. This was particularly true if Egypt suffered from scarcity, for this country ordinarily exported enormous quantities of grain.
Right, just like we just read about Ukraine. All right, just locking down Ukraine from exporting any grain, that was causing an effect. That was causing a famine for the whole world. All right, go ahead.
The general famine
today. Go read.
The general famine under Claudius, therefore, consisted in the general dearness of wheat, caused most probably by the conjunction of the Egyptian and Assyrian failures of the harvest. The Egyptian famine is clearly dated in 45, extending at least into the spring of 46 and possibly into the year 47.
Right, go ahead. During Claudius' reign, read.
Before the markets of the world could recover from the effect of this shortage, the failure of the harvest throughout Judea and Syria either further raised prices or delayed the return to a more normal cost of living.
So, as everything trying to get back to normal, the prices are still being raised. In our areas, in Jerusalem and so forth. So the prices are still going up. Go ahead.
And as much as Helena was able to obtain grain from Egypt, it seems probable that, as the chronology indicates, the Egyptian famine slightly preceded the Judean misfortune, so that although the two countries for a time suffered Contemporaneously, the Judean famine grew more severe as the Egyptian situation improved.
So as one was improving, one was getting worse. So as the Egyptians' famine was improving, ours was getting worse at that time. So that's what they're saying. That's how Helena, the Queen Helena, she was able to go and help us at that time. All right. Didn't you have something on her?
Yeah, it was something.
You had something on her before. Go ahead, read on.
Thus, when the Judean famine reached its height, the improvement in Egypt made it possible to dispatch supplies for the relief of Jerusalem.
You see that? So once Egypt was good, that helped us a lot. Go ahead.
In view of the evidence for famine in Egypt in the spring of 46, it seems evident that the Judean famine was not relieved by Helena before the spring of 47. However, it should be noted that the supplies purchased by Helena do not afford conclusive proof that the countries from which these supplies were obtained had superfluous stores of food.
Read.
The merchants naturally desired to sell their goods in the areas of greatest distress, for there they could obtain the highest price.
You see that? So they could obtain the highest prices there. All right, so they would go and sell for the area that had the greatest distress, that the famine hit the worst. They would go sell their stuff there, and they could get the highest price. They could raise their joint up. Go ahead.
While the Roman government at times restricted the exportation of grain, particularly from Egypt.
While the Roman government did what?
At times restricted the exportation of grain.
Hey, didn't Russia do that with Ukraine? Same thing. They restricted it. Go ahead.
Particularly from Egypt. Official permission for exportation might have been granted.
Yo, so you had to come through the Roman government. Why would they do that? You had to come through the Roman government in order to obtain permission to export or be granted to export anything from Egypt, any grain and so forth. Same thing going on today. Russia locked Ukraine down and restricted any export of grain from there, which is causing the famine. Same thing. All right, there's another one. All right, that's it on that. Now, go to the articles y'all have. Wait, Helena, you have on Helena. Let me see.
If you want, it talks about how she became, why she wanted to help the Jews. I don't know if you wanted to go into that or not.
Let me see.
She eventually moved to Jerusalem, lady.
You get it real quick.
Okay.
The new...
Start the background, though. The one that say background.
Sometime in the early 1st century CE.
So this is on Helena, like officer was talking about. She was a queen of Persia, which is that land area is in Persia. All right, go ahead.
She converted to Judaism together with her sons, Monobaz and Azades, and was probably followed by other members of the family and perhaps others of her court. The conversion was influenced by two itinerant Jewish merchants, Eleazar and Hananiah.
And you can read about that in the Josephus. Josephus talks about those two that were involved in her conversion, or why she believed in what we believed in. Go ahead.
This was a period when Jews were actively engaged in propagating the Jewish faith, and the two travelers may have been engaged in a missionary venture.
So go to the next one now. So now you can see what happened with that time period, her being converted, and what happened after. Read that really quick from the top.
The new royal proselytes immediately immersed themselves in activity on behalf of the Jewish people. Queen Helena herself and the members of her family made their first pilgrimage to the temple in Jerusalem. And the queen added to its luster by contributing various objects, including a golden candlestick and vessel handles of gold. In the year 46, she came to the aid of the famine-stricken Jews of the Holy Land.
So she was on a pilgrimage over to Jerusalem, and that's when she saw that the Jews that believed were having a problem with the famine. So that's when she went and got the grain from Egypt to help them out. Go ahead.
She lived the last part of her life in Jerusalem, where she built herself a palace. The Jewish sages tell of her 21 years of Nazarite chastity following her conversion.
So that's it, officer. That's why. So after she did that help for the Jews in Jerusalem, she ended up moving to Jerusalem and living there the rest of her life.
All right. All praise. All right. Now let's get some of those articles real quick.
Food prices are rising at the highest rate in decades. Here's where that money goes. Even as U.S. inflation moderates, for millions of Americans, every trip to the grocery store is a pain in the pocketbook.
Like that orange juice.
Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Supermarket prices have shot up at the fastest rate in decades, putting staples like eggs and bread out of reach for some. Over the past 2 years, egg prices have nearly doubled, leading some consumers to extreme workarounds like trying to smuggle eggs from Mexico and painting Easter potatoes instead of dyeing eggs to save on household funds. Meat, fish, and chicken are all substantially pricier than they were 2 years ago, as well as cereal and bread, which cost nearly 25% more today than they did in 2021.
Right, man. Read that again.
Meat, fish, and chicken are all substantially pricier than they were 2 years ago, as well as cereal and bread, which cost nearly 25% more today.
Right. So go ahead.
Than they did in 2021.
Right. So today, meat, fish, and chicken are all substantially pricier. than they were 2 years ago, as well as cereal and bread, which cost nearly 25% more today than they did in 2021. This is the famine all over again. All right, same thing happening. Nothing new under the sun. All right, give me the other one. Is there more? Yep, let's read that one.
Global food prices rise after Russia ends Ukraine grain deal and India restricts rice exports. Global prices for food commodities like rice and vegetable oil have risen for the first time in months after Russia pulled out of a wartime agreement allowing Ukraine to ship grain to the world. And India restricted some of its rice exports, the UN Food and Agriculture Organization said Friday.
Remember, we just read the Roman government restricted the export of grain from Egypt. They doing the same thing today, man. Go ahead.
The FAO Food Price Index, which tracks monthly changes in the international prices of commonly traded food commodities, increased 1.3% in July over June, driven by higher costs for rice and vegetable oil. It was the first uptick since April, when higher sugar prices bumped up the index slightly for the first time in a year.
Right. Go ahead.
Commodity prices have been falling since hitting record highs last year in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Disrupted supplies from the two countries exacerbated a global food crisis because their leading suppliers of wheat, barley, sunflower oil, and other affordable food products, especially to nations in parts of Africa, the Middle East, and Asia, where millions are struggling with hunger.
All right, that's your famine today. All right, it's happening all over again. All over again. And the leadership has prepped us and prepared us and told us to, start gathering and prepping. Okay, because we in that time again. We are in that time again. All right. You could drop that. You could drop that.
Hey, officer.
Go ahead.
You know, it's crazy. The food that you need to survive starts to rise in the famine. But you see in America, the food like McDonald's, Burger Kings, the price never changed for those stuff.
Nah, price ain't changing.
Because that stuff is killing you.
Price is not changing. They let that stay the same.
Mm-hmm. It's the same as being in the famine if you eat those stuff.
Right. No, you're not getting no profit from those type of foods. Right. No profit. All right. Hey, from there, let's move on to 1 second. Yeah, let's get Acts. Let's get the book of Acts chapter 18 verse 2. Remember, we going over Claudius Caesar, the fifth feather, and the things we were going through under his reign.
Acts chapter 18 and verse 2.
Read.
And found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome.
So Claudius commanded that all of us depart from Rome. Now, we're going to, remember, like we said, the Bible's abbreviated. So we're going to get into why he wanted us to depart from Rome, what was happening. Hey, give me the book, The Early Christians in Rome. Early Christians in Rome. Page 8. Early Christians in Rome, page 8.
Want me to start at the only point or start all the way at the top, sir?
Go down, let me see. I want to get to the point. Go back up. Yeah, you start at the only point.
The only point at issue is, did he, as the favorite tradition asserts, pay his first visit to Rome quite early in the Christian story, circa AD 42, remaining there for some 7 or 8 years, preaching and teaching, laying the foundations of the great church which rapidly sprang up in the capital?
So this is talking about the Apostle Peter. All right, how he visited Rome. Talking about the Apostle Peter. Go ahead.
Then, when the decree of the Emperor Claudius banished the Jews, A.D.
So now, when the decree of the Emperor Claudius banished us, when?
A.D. 4950. The tradition asserts that the apostle returned to the east, was present at the apostolic council held at Jerusalem, A.D. 50.
So when we were banished, then that's when Peter returned. All right, he returned to Jerusalem. Go ahead.
Only returning to Rome circa A.D. 63. Somewhere about A.D. 64, the first epistle of Peter was probably written from Rome. His martyrdom there is best dated about A.D. 67.
Right. Now give me page, the next page. Should be another page. Page 18. Yep, blow that up. Read. You can start at the writer.
The writer of this work is fully conscious that the conclusion to which he has come after massing together all the available evidence is not the usual conclusion arrived at by one great and influential school of thought in our midst, nor does it accord with the conclusion of that eminently just scholar, Bishop Lightfoot, who, while positively affirming the presence of St. Peter in Rome, whence, as he allows, he wrote his first epistle, and where through pain and agony he passed to his longed for rest in his master's paradise, yet cannot accept the tradition of his early presence in the metropolis.
Go down. Yeah, right here. Then the most probably read that.
Then
start at go back up and start at the writer of this study, has no doubt.
The writer of the study has no doubt whatever that the teaching of the vast majority of the Roman Catholic writers on this point is strictly accurate, and that St. Peter, at a comparatively early date, probably somewhere about the year of grace 42-3, came to Rome confirmed in the faith, taught, strengthened with his own blessed memories of his adored master.
So it's saying how Peter came to Rome. He letting you know that Peter came to Rome. He established, between him and Paul, established the church in Rome. Go ahead.
The little band of Christians already dwelling in the capital of the empire. Under his pious training, the little band, in the 6, 7, or 8 years of his residence in their midst, became the strong nucleus of the powerful church of Rome.
Watch this.
Then, most probably, he left Rome when the decree of the Emperor Claudius, AD 49, was promulgated. The decree, which was the result of the disturbances among the turbulent Jewish colony.
So he letting you know what happened here. So when we read it, read Book of Acts chapter 18, verse 2 again.
Acts chapter 18 and verse 2. And found a certain Jew named Aquila, born in Pontus, lately come from Italy, with his wife Priscilla, because that Claudius had commanded all Jews to depart from Rome.
Read.
And came unto them.
So now we're going to read here what happened. Why did Claudius commanded us to depart from Rome? Why did he banish us from Rome? Read it again.
Then, most probably, he left Rome when the decree of the Emperor Claudius, AD 49, was promulgated.
Promulgated.
The decree, which was the result of the disturbances among the turbulent Jewish colony.
So the turbulent Jewish colony will be like in the hood. Okay, so the turbulent Jewish colony in Rome. Go ahead. That's where we were staying. Go ahead.
Disturbances, no doubt, owing to bitter and relentless opposition to the fast spreading of the Christian faith in their midst.
You see that? So it was pretty much a riot that was happening. It's pretty much a riot that was happening between the unbelievers and those of us that believe. Just like you would see on the streets today. Our people be bugging out, man. So that's why they had enough. Esau had enough. They were like, yo, get them out of here, man. Get them Jews out of here. Get them Negroes out of here. All right, read on.
As Suetonius, Claudius 25, tersely but clearly tells us, Judeos imposori Christo.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
All praises.
Don't worry about that. Hey, give me page 25. Page 25.
The fire of Rome and its results as regards Christians, AD 64. Henceforth, they were regarded as enemies of the state. For a little more than 30 years, dating back to the resurrection morning, with the exception of the occasion of that temporary and partial banishment of the Jews and Christians from Rome in the days of the Emperor Claudius, had the Christian propaganda gone on apparently unnoticed, certainly unheeded by the imperial government.
So we was under the radar of the imperial government at that time, but until we were banished. So when we got banished, that kind of put us on notice a little bit. Go ahead.
The banishment decree of Claudius, the outcome of a local disturbance in the Jewish quarter of the capital.
You see that? The Jewish quarter of the capital is the hood of Rome. Said the banishment decree of Claudius, which was the outcome of a local disturbance in the Jewish quarter of the capital. Read.
Was after a brief interval apparently rescinded, or at least ignored by the ruling powers.
So it died down. Things died down after that. They didn't. We went right back under the radar. Go ahead.
But in the middle of the year 64, only a few months after St. Paul's long-delayed trial and acquittal and subsequent departure from Rome, a startling event happened which brought the Christians into a sad notoriety and put an end to the attitude of contemptuous indifference in which they have been generally regarded by the magistrates, both in the provinces and in the capital.
All right, so we're not going to touch on any of that at this moment, but what we're dealing with is the fact that why we were banished from Rome. All right, so it was the local disturbances in the hood when the apostles and the disciples were teaching. All right, the unbelievers getting rowdy, getting mad, and they, they had enough. They banished us out of Rome. All right. So that's what Acts 18, chapter 2 was going into. All right. Now, let's give me history of the Jews. History of the Jews, page 190. Still going into the banishment in Rome. You got it? History of the Jews, Heinrich Graetz. Yep.
Caligula's successor upon the throne of the Caesars was Claudius, a learned pedant and a fool.
I don't want to read all this. Go down. I don't want to read all this. I know I gave you a lot of pages here. Let's skip through the pages real quick. I just kind of want to get to the point. Oh, you're not able to just flick through? All right. All right, let me go to page 191. Go ahead. Yeah, I just want to get to the point where we were banished. Hey, you know what? Go back. Go back to 191. Yeah, read 191 when Agrippa.
When Agrippa, laden with honors.
I just want to show y'all something real quick.
When Agrippa, laden with honors, left Rome for Judea to take possession of his kingdom, his subjects remarked that some great change was manifest in him, and that the stirring revolution in Rome, by which a headstrong emperor had been dethroned in favor of a weak one, had deeply impressed their own monarch. The frivolous Agrippa returned an earnest-minded man. The courtier had given place to the patriot, the pleasure-loving prince to the conscientious monarch.
So remember, I said before, Agrippa was Claudius's boy, and he put him over Palestine. He put him king over our land. All right. Remember, this is the same Agrippa that put James to death in the book of Acts, chapter 12. Go ahead.
Who was fully aware of what he owed his nation. The Herodian nature had, in fact, been entirely subdued by the Hasmonean. For the last time, Judea enjoyed under his reign a short span of undisturbed happiness, and his subjects, won by his generous affection, which even risked forfeiting the goodwill of Rome in their cause, repaid him with untiring devotion, the bitterest enemies of his scepter becoming his ardent supporters. Historians do not weary of praising Agrippa's loving adherence to Judaism. It seemed as if he were endeavoring to rebuild what he had been cast down, which had been cast down by Herod. He mixed freely with the people when they carried.
This is it. Go ahead. Watch how we reacted to Agrippa.
The first fruits into the temple, and bore his own offering of fruit or grain to the sanctuary.
So he came to our sanctuary. He even brought his first fruits to our temple. Go ahead. This is Agrippa, Edomite. Go ahead.
He reestablished the old law that obliged the king to read the book of Deuteronomy in the court of the temple at the close of each year of release.
So hold on. Read that part again. Read it slow.
He reestablished the old law that obliged the king to read the book of Deuteronomy in the court of the temple at the close of each year of release.
Watch this. Read.
Facing the congregation.
Remember, this is Agrippa. He's in our temple. He's in our temple. He's facing the congregation. Now, Edomite. Go ahead.
Facing the congregation, Agrippa performed this act for the first time in the autumn of the year 42.
Watch what this dude do. Go ahead.
And when he came to the verse, from amongst your brethren shall you choose a king.
So he's reading this now. Agrippa's reading Deuteronomy chapter 17, verse 15. Right? Go ahead.
He burst into a passion of tears.
He's crying now. Go ahead.
For he was painfully aware of his Idumean descent.
So he's aware that, damn, I'm an Edomite. I shouldn't even be, they shouldn't even have me in this position. I don't belong here. This ain't for me. It cut him. That scripture cut him, right? Watch this. Watch what we did.
And knew.
You read it already?
And knew that he was unworthy of being a king of Judea.
Right, because it cut him. Right? Watch this.
But the assembled multitude.
But the assembled niggas. Go ahead.
And even the Pharisees exclaimed with enthusiasm, Thou art our brother.
Damn.
Thou art our brother.
Oh, gosh.
You see this nonsense? Yo, our people crazy, man.
Hold up.
Yo, read that again.
But the assembled multitude and even the Pharisees exclaimed with enthusiasm.
With enthusiasm. Don't worry about it, Agrippa. Don't worry. You are. Read it.
Wow. Thou art our brother.
You are our brother. We crying with him. He really ain't weeping. He don't give a damn. But we really crying because our people have compassion on the other nations, man.
Boy, ain't no way, boy.
That's how we get. That's how we are. We have. I don't know. We show so much compassion to the other nation. He fake crying. We literally crying. Like, you our brother, Agrippa. Don't worry about it. We got your back. Trust us.
And Agrippa is reading the scripture.
Agrippa. He literally reading Deuteronomy 17. Yo, get Deuteronomy 17:50 and read it like Agrippa will be reading.
It's gonna be hard. Deuteronomy chapter 17 and verse 15. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee.
Read it again.
Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose, one from among thy brethren.
Crying, like he acting like he crying, like
Right.
one from among. Oh my God, that's just not me. I can't. Wow, what am I doing here? Wow, and then here we go.
Nah, don't worry about the scriptures.
Yeah, right.
You all right.
You all right with us?
You're like, no, you don't understand. Your God said no.
He's like, put that on, like the pastors say. Don't read that.
Right.
Don't read that. Wicked niggas, man. You can't make this up. Thou art our brother. Read it again. The page.
But the assembled multitude and even the Pharisees exclaimed with enthusiasm, Thou art our brother. Thou art our brother.
You see that? But guess what happened? Give me Acts chapter 12.
Acts chapter 12 and verse 1. Now, about the time Herod the king,
this is Agrippa, Herod Agrippa, go ahead,
stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church.
Read.
And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword.
So that's our brother, huh?
Wow.
But, read on.
And because it pleased the Jews.
It pleased who?
The Jews.
The same ones that say, yo, you are our brother. But we wanted our actual brother, our blood brother, we wanted him dead.
Damn.
We wanted to put him to death.
And that's a cut to Christian because they'll say that's love your neighbor as yourself, but you actually killing your real neighbor.
Yeah, you killing your actual people.
Right.
All for the love of your enemy.
All for the love of your enemy, man.
Hey, officer, you mind fucking?
Yeah, go ahead, man. I'm just thinking, like,
crazy.
damn.
Like you was talking about, because we so merciful to our enemies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get 1 Kings chapter 20 and 31. Because this is the same, we've always been like this. Our people always showing mercy to a people that's always had us in captivity. Read that really quick. So this is when 1 Kings chapter 20 and verse 31. So this is when we went to war with Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria. And the Lord delivered him into our hands. But he survived. So now he says, let's go and talk to the kings of Israel. Maybe they'll show us mercy. Let's read that.
1 Kings chapter 20 and verse 31. And his servant said unto him, Behold now, we have heard that the kings of the house of Israel are merciful kings. Let us, I pray thee, put sackcloth on our loins and ropes upon our heads and go out to the king of Israel. Peradventure, he will save thy life.
So Ben-Hadad comes to the king of Israel. He said, look, I've heard that they're merciful, like stupid merciful. So let's go over there. Let's just hang our head low, and maybe, he'll forgive us.
Right.
Let's see what they say. Next verse.
So they girded sackcloth on their loins and put ropes on their heads and came to the king of Israel and said, Thy servant Ben-Hadad saith, I pray thee, let me live.
So they said, look, let me live.
All, all coming all delicate.
Come on. We didn't mean what we said about your God.
Right.
Just let us live. Let's see what he said next. Let's see what the king of Israel said. Let's read.
And he said, Is he yet alive?
Is the king alive? Read.
He is my brother.
That's my brother.
That's my brother.
That's my brother.
It's supposed to be brothers.
Are you delusional?
Just defeated the Lord said, I'm going to destroy that nation. And now he's coming for mercy. And you say, whoa, that's my brother, though. You know what? Let me show him some mercy. Read.
Now the men did diligently observe whether anything would come from him, and did hastily catch it. And they said, Thy brother Ben-Hadad.
So now they say, oh, wait, he called his brother. So now let's reply back. Yes, your brother Ben-Hadad. So they know what's going on. They say, wow, these people are stupid. Now, read verse 42. Let's see what God said because of that. And this goes with the so-called Jewish people today. The Lord does not like when you show mercy to a people that the Lord said should be having mercy.
Right.
Read that.
Verse 42. And he said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, because thou hast let go out of thy hand a man whom because thou hast let go out of thy hand a man whom I appointed to utter destruction.
The Lord appointed the Edomites to utter destruction, but now they got him reading in the temple saying, I'm your brother, I'm your king. But y'all set him up as king now. Read.
Therefore, thy life shall go out for his life.
You were supposed to be they were supposed to be destroyed, but now Jerusalem gets destroyed. 70 AD. Read.
And thy people for his people.
And now your land is trodden down to the Gentiles. You were called Jews. Now those people that you set over you is called the Jewish people. Your people went for their people.
Damn. Hey, get First Maccabees. Bishop brought this out last night. First Maccabees 1 and 11.
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 11. And in those days went there out of Israel wicked men.
Wicked men. Go ahead.
Who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
You see that? So in those days, man, we made a covenant. Okay, we made a covenant with death. That's what we get that in Isaiah. Made a covenant with death. That's what the heathen are. Death and hell. Isaiah 28:15.
Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 15. Because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are at agreement.
Oh man, read it again.
Isaiah chapter 28 and verse.
Oh man, yo, they waiting for that, bro.
Wow. No mercy.
Yo,
No mercy.
They waiting for that one.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Oh, they got their shine. Isaiah chapter 28 and verse 15. Because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement.
So as you see, this is what our people was doing back then, and our people are doing the same thing today. All right, we made a covenant. Our people made a covenant with death, and their agreement with hell, captivity. All right, read on.
When the overflowing scourges shall pass through, it shall not come unto us.
So that's what our people, the wicked of our people, this is what they say. They said, look, when the overflowing of scourges shall pass through, it's not going to hit us. We good, because guess what? We made a covenant with death and hell, with the heathen. We made a covenant with those that got all the power. How are we going to be affected? Go ahead.
Congratulations. You played yourself.
Read.
For we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehoods have we hid ourselves.
You see that? Now give me I think it's 1 Maccabees 11:21. And we're going to end it.
1 Maccabees chapter 11 and verse 21.
This will be our last scripture then.
Then certain ungodly persons who hated their own people.
That did what?
Who hated their own people. Went unto the king and told him that Jonathan besieged the tower.
You see that, man? This is who we dealing with. Wicked niggas, man. This is what was going on. Same thing today. Same thing today. All right? These are the same wicked Negroes like, yo, you our brother. You our brother, Biden.
Trump.
You our brother, Trump. I'm voting for Trump.
Yeah, the pastors and the priests, during the time Trump was in office, they all came to the ground and had a nice little hug with Trump when he was in Oval Office.
They prayed for him.
Yep.
Damn.
Remember Biden said if you don't vote for him, you ain't black.
Right.
He said you ain't my brother if you
got
don't
some
vote for
nerve.
me. That's
Right.
what
Got some nerve.
So Biden's right. That is our brother.
Yeah, that's our brother. Damn.
They used to call Bill Clinton the first black president. They
did. Yeah. They did the same thing with JFK.
Yep.
They did the same thing with JFK. This is what our people do, man. We show more compassion for the other nations than we do for ourselves, for our own people. This is crazy. All right. Hey, so with that, we're gonna end it there. All right. So next week, Lord's will life lasts. Next week, we're gonna be getting into the subsequent travels of the apostles. All right. We're gonna get into the subsequent travels of the apostles, and we're gonna touch on all the everything that was going on as far as those that came after the apostles, the martyrdom. We're gonna hit all of those things. We pretty much gonna be rehashing it a little bit because we went over it in the past, but we're gonna be rehashing it a little bit. All right. So tune in next show. All right. Next show. All right. Officer Abaddon.
Hey, let's give a hand for the leadership for that class. All praise to the Most High. Great class. Hope everybody took a lot of notes. All right. All right, Israel, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Our Hidden History Radio, so you can know when we go live. Hit the notifications button, all right? Also, subscribe to our Philly pages, IUIC Philadelphia and IUIC Philadelphia in the Classroom to get the latest content from Captain Haim and the officers of IUIC Philly. Make your donations to Our Hidden History. You can make your donations on PayPal, too. IUIC.Philadelphia at IsraelUnite.org. In the comment section, put OHH. Donate to the Booster Club to help the prophets bring forth this truth to the diaspora scattered throughout the four winds of the earth. You can make your donations on PayPal to IUIC.fundraising at IsraelUnite.org. And last but not least, subscribe to IUIC TV to get exclusive content from the leadership of IUIC. And tune in next to Deacon Malafia for Raven and Wolves radio show. All right?
That's right. All right. Hey, we'd like to give a shout out to the IT. All praise. Hey, except for that, they was waiting for my man Downfall to read it. Damn.
Waiting for my man to fall.
That's
We had-
have mercy on him.
Yeah.
But you messed up a couple times.
Oh, so you the one gave the call.
Oh, of course, of course.
Damn.
That's a man.
Wow,
that
on
got
the
his own-
show.
Wow,
he
on
made
the
a
show.
call.
He made a call.
He said, do it.
In
Hey.
high places, man.
Damn.
Damn.
Hey, also shout out to the sister that made the breakfast. All praise to the Most High. All right, so with that, we say shalom.
Shalom.
Do you really wanna know? Well, I really wanna know. Yeah, 'cause